TGIF, ladies and gentlemen, welcome over to the DFS 5-pack. We are here to talk through the NBA slate for this evening. Excited for another night of NBA, man. I know the last game was a real dud, but watching that Raptors, walk-off win and, two great games the night before, it is just – I love the NBA playoffs, and they are just giving us some great treats so far.
What first game? What a rabbit that the Raptors pulled out of their hat last night. To win that game when all of a sudden they were going to go down 0-3. That's how. If they end up winning this series, Boston will be shaking its head for years.
Yeah, that was a great play. We talked about this one. I don't know if I've ever heard you as disappointed as you were in the Thunder's inability to even get a shot off against the Rockets, but what a brilliant drawn-up play by the Toronto Raptors. And again, I don't really like the Celtics or the Raptors. Obviously, you guys know I'm a Bucks fan, so we're teetering on the edge right now, and I don't really want to play either of those teams to begin with, but that was just brilliantly drawn up. He was wide open on the other side of the court, a perfect pass by Lowry.
Well, that's the other part of it. So he wasn't even he was the fourth read on that play. The first and second reads were to Van Vliet and Siakam. So that's the other part about it, is having a guy with the savvy of Lowry, the savviness of Lowry, taking the inbounds, doing the inbounds play, even with a guy like Bull on him, as opposed to a guy who looks scared in the moment and shy, and you saw the difference.
Definitely, guys.
You'll appreciate this. I saw someone tweet last night, yeah, the Raptors shot was great, but I would have gone with Steven Adams at the top of the key.
Yeah, I love that.
I knew
awful job by the Thunder. Anyways, guys, we could talk about that game all night long, but let's talk about overlay right now, guys. We've got NBA, MLB, NFL contests all up at your disposal right now. We broke down our opening thoughts on the NFL overlay slate a couple days ago. We jumped into quarterbacks and DK yesterday, so we're really starting to talk football. We will get back to the NFL slate on overlay at some point next week when we're a little bit more precise with our thoughts, just trying to knock off the rust and start diving into the NFL stuff. I was just really looking over the DK slate earlier, which should give me a lot better thoughts on what I think about the overlay slate. We got a lot of contests up at our disposal, and we will be talking NBA later today. I managed to sneak into the money last night on MLB for the top 10%, which has been a while since I've done that MLB, so that felt real nice. Get your money in, guys. OverlayDFS.com.
Let's get it, man. I'm out of the money again, both sports last night, but I've got to be eligible for that Slump Buster Challenge soon.
Yeah, you don't place in 20 contests. If you enter that same contest 20 times, they'll refund the entirety of your buy-in, which is really unusual.
Yep.
All right, so we got a DK NBA slate to talk about, though, guys. Again, we've kind of already hit on it. What a great shot by OG Anunoby, and the great play by the Toronto Raptors last night. So that can't go understated how much fun that was to watch. The NFL package we've been talking about is 20% off. I brought this up on the NFL video yesterday. Purchase the NFL package, which gets you every week of NFL for only $80. And I'm sending out $10 reimbursements to anybody who buys it today. It's up through the website along with the day passes. Click on the thumbs up button if you don't mind. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it. Let's talk about some of the plays that are at our disposal for DK tonight. Let's start with the brow, Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers. We were talking about this earlier in some of the projections you were reading. I'm running a poll on Twitter right now, which only confirms everything that I would have thought. Anthony Davis is going to be your highest owned stud tonight. And when I talk studs, I'm talking guys over 10K, not Russell Westbrook, who is dirt cheap today. I like Davis a lot today for a variety of reasons. One, he's the cheapest of the guys over 10K. And we all know how difficult it is to roster studs come playoff time when there is no value. Other value guys like Tucker and Crowder that we've been riding for days are now very, very expensive by their standards. He's rested. He's 3 inches taller than anybody on Houston. And you didn't really want to speak on this, but I'll go ahead and do it. I think it's very LeBron-like to try to get him rolling early tonight. If the Lakers want to win a chip this year with really poor complementary pieces, they need this 1-2 studs to be very, very good. And we all trust LeBron to do that. But do you trust Davis? I don't usually trust Davis, but I like him a lot today. And I'm going to ride chalk and cash games on this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm with you that he's going to be the highest owned stud on the slate. I'm seeing projections, ownership projections say otherwise. I see your poll is very heavy AD, but only 40 votes in. Hard to say from that. Either way.
When it confirms what I already thought, it's easier for me to buy into it than if all of a sudden it was everybody was voting for Harden.
Right, but if ownership projections are saying that he's coming in at 30%, but your 39-person vote poll is saying, 56%. I'm going to go with the projections personally. I just need more people voting. That's just personal.
Mark my word, he'll be the highest owned stud tonight. I will put it out there, and if not, everybody can make fun of me tomorrow, which most of you guys want to do already anyway.
All right, well, we shall see. I'm not going to speak on it. Like I said, I'll go with the projections, but I don't do ownership projections myself, so I'm not sure. As far as how he is tonight, though, regardless, I don't care if he's 40% owned, 30% owned, 60% owned. He's just in a great spot against Houston. They have no one who can check him. He's also really, really good. The 1-2 punch of LeBron AD rolling right now, I imagine they continue it in a series that I think Houston has a chance to get a couple games, but ultimately the size and strength of the Lakers will prevail. And AD is a big reason why. I agree with you. Bron will try to get him rolling. And there's just everything to like here at a very affordable price point.
Yes, he is very affordable. And the price matters on this one. Like, there's a lot of days when you break down NBA regular season where $1,000 means nothing to me. Play the stud that you like. It means something today. It means a lot because once you have to go down from, like, Crowder's too expensive to get, but you can play him. But, like, once you move down from a reliable play like Jay Crowder to somebody who is $1,000 less, a guy who can easily give you, like, 8 points, like, that is very worrisome. In the playoffs, it's less about upside because there aren't a ton of upside plays on a daily basis, and more about just not getting anybody in your lineup that absolutely destroys it and is terrible. You see guys picking up early foul trouble. Giannis does it consistently. Siakam's done it twice in 3 games. Like, you're just really looking for guys who don't absolutely destroy your lineup.
Mm-hmm. So true.
So I think one of the reasons I like the NBA playoffs DFS probably a little bit more than you do is because it appeals more to how I play DFS in general, which is looking for guys who don't murder your lineup. You love playing for home runs and getting the upside plays. It's harder to find those guys in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. That's why some of the bubble sites were so much fun for me.
Yes. Like Covington's game last time out where he almost like 10x or whatever it ended up being, like, that is so rare in the playoffs.
So rare.
All right, next time up. So let's go back to the Miami versus Milwaukee game. I think we both expect my Bucks to win this game, but I don't know about you. I expect it to be competitive for 4 quarters. And a guy that I'm looking at is Goran Dragic, who I think at 7K, like, once you watch the difference in that price tag, I think it takes some of the buyers away from him today. I think the fact that Russell Westbrook seems way too cheap by just a glance, and these guys are all just point guard eligible, will take away from him today. I played him everywhere the other day. In the $25 single entry, he was like 55% owned. In the $50 single entry, he was like 45% owned. He's got 35 plus in every playoff game but one, where he still had 31.75, 30 plus in every bubble game. He might seem too expensive to most people, but based on how he's played in the month of August and now into the months of September, he's not too cheap. He's an underrated player, in my opinion, and I have a lot of desire to go right back here today. Whether that means you play him over Westbrook or play them together, I just think he's a solid, consistent play.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he is like the cog type, even at 7K. As you mentioned, he's just played really good in the bubble, really good in the playoffs. It's a good spot for him. I mean, clearly he plays well against this Bucks team. Again, his ownership will be down maybe because he's priced up a little bit and because there's another point guard that's going to get a lot of love tonight. And that just makes you like him more, right?
I mean, I'll play him everywhere for me. Like, again, I trust him to give me a solid, source of points. I just can't picture him, coming in with like 18 DK points and murdering your lineup. I'm sure it's possible, but he's not a guy that habitually gets into foul trouble and you have to worry about them. Like, that's a big thing in the playoffs. Like, if you watched Miami and Milwaukee the other day, like, it felt like everybody was in foul trouble, even though it was worse on the Bucks side. Like, give me a guy who is out in the court for the entire game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like, I like Pascal Siakam. I struggle to roster him right now after 2 out of 3 games. Like, he's picked up 3 fouls with, well before halftime.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
All right, next up. So, speaking of consistency, Eric Gordon. We broke down his consistency in the first series against OKC. I challenge anybody to go out, any sport, basketball, I don't even care if it's golf or whatever it is, find somebody with more of a consistent run of 7 games than Eric Gordon just put up. There is absolutely no variance in his scores. It's almost exactly the same thing every single time. And the other thing is there is still a little room for growth. He took a little knock on his peripherals the other day, but he finally shot the 3-ball well.
Been saying it. They need Gordon if they're going to advance in the playoffs. He's a big X factor for them. Since he came back, he looks in shape. He looks invigorated. He looks fast. His 3-ball hasn't even been, good at all. And that's the best aspect of his game. when he turns that on, you're right. There is upside here. His price hasn't moved. I like him quite a bit. I think his price has actually gone down.
Yeah, it's been back and forth within a couple $100 of what it is every day, probably because he scores the same every single day. I like the encouragement, though. Like, he has been terrible from three for most of the year, but he shot 5 and 9 last game from 3-point range. That could be a good jumping off point for him. I don't want to bet on it continuing, but he finds a way to contribute from a DFS points perspective on a daily basis. And if the three ball, maybe he's got his confidence back and he starts shooting with a little bit more, I don't want to use the word confidence again, but it's all that I can think of currently. It is possible he could drop a 35 or a 36, 37 point, DK game.
Sure.
All right, next up. So speaking of point guards, another one that probably flies a little bit under the radar today because we expect Westbrook to get plenty of love at this cheap price tag. And even though I think Dragic might get a little bump down in his ownership today, he'll still get love. So check out Eric Bledsoe of my Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I want to be very, 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 very clear right here. He's a tough guy to trust. So if you don't want to play him today, I can completely understand why. We have watched him come up very small, multiple occasions in the playoffs against good teams like Miami. So I am a little nervous about that one, but, chicken money doesn't win. Bledsoe, it was a game time decision last time out. He played. You kind of watched his confidence grow throughout the day. Miami is selling out to stop Giannis for good reason, which is kind of allowing Bledsoe, as the announcers last game were saying, he's kind of looks like he's starting to realize he can get wherever he wants on the court in this game. So on a day where I would expect Milwaukee's rotation to be, a little shorter, you got to play your best players this game. If you don't win this game, your chances go from slim to none, right? So, you got to play your best players and expect Bledsoe to get a solid workload of minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, you're done if you go down 3-0. There's just no reason to expect that. Why would you come back? Which is why Toronto is in, such a miracle spot right now, So, yeah, I'm with you, man. I like Bledsoe a lot here. Miami seems to have the Giannis, the recipe to stop Giannis, if you will. And I like the other secondary pieces from Milwaukee. Bledsoe is also really affordable. You look at other guys that are now priced up. We've talked about these guys like, Jay Crowder, PJ Tucker, the same guys over and over. Those guys are now priced up basically in the same range as Bledsoe. Bledsoe is just a much better fantasy player than any of those guys. Has the ball in his hands a lot. I like Bledsoe a lot here.
Now, I have enough faith in Miami to play well today. I don't think that they're going to rest on their laurels and just not show up today. I don't think that's who they are as a team. That's not how they're built. However, if there was a day for Miami to maybe just take the foot off the gas a little bit, maybe their defense is just a step slower than it normally is, you would think being up 2-0, coming off of a big win like that, this could be the day where maybe they're a little weaker. I still think it's a competitive game. By no stretch of your imagination am I calling for the Bucks to roll here. But if there is a day where maybe they're not 100% the Miami that we know that they are, this seems like it could be that game where maybe Bledsoe's got a little bit of an easier time because they are up 2-0. I'm not saying they slack off and get rolled. I just think if there was a day for them to do it, it would be today.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, guys, that's what we got for today. We appreciate y'all watching us. Just remember, if AD is not the highest owned stud, you can call me out. Call me every sort of dirt name you want in the book.
You're wearing a dress tomorrow if AD is not the highest owned?
No, because I don't want to go out and spend money that I don't have on a dress. And the only dresses in this house are my daughter, who's 7 years old, and those clearly won't fit.
I'll just say this, because I'm not going to be surprised if AD is the highest owned stud at all. Based on what I think, I would think that too. A couple ownership projections say otherwise, so we'll have to wait and see. The biggest thing that I'm taking from your poll, however, is the guy that's getting absolutely no love.
Yeah, and I don't think he deserves to have love today, so I agreed with that one as well. Go check it out on Twitter if you guys want to know who it is.
Thanks, guys.